Now, you remember the whole coup that was carried out against the Ukrainian government on the behest of the United States, carried out by the Euromaidan, essentially the Nazis, and the guy who ended up eventually being their political leader, the Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk. He would be the little guy with the black rimmed glasses and the shaved head, who became the public face of the quote-unquote rebellion in Ukraine. And this was part of the whole big divide between Novorussia, the ethnic Russians, and the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians, of course, being ruled by what is essentially neo-Nazis, the Azov Brigade, etc. Well, since he stepped down from power, there's been a big question as to where he's been all this time. Now, the Russian media has reported that he has fled to Canada and is in hiding there. And some sources say that he even now has a Canadian passport. Now, while I can find nothing to, verify this claim to the point where, it would prove it, there is, however, a statement by the Canadian government saying that they refuse to comment on whether or not he has some kind of immigration status in the country. It was an IRCC spokesman, Lindsay Wemp, in an email who said, "Due to privacy concerns, we cannot comment on specific cases without consent." So essentially, the Canadian government says they cannot confirm nor can they deny whether or not the former leader of Nazi Ukraine is actually in the country seeking asylum. Which usually that non-answer is an answer in and of itself. But of course, it's not a definitive statement as to whether or not he's there. But we know what that means. Wink, wink. But doesn't this just fit in with Justin Trudeau's whole idea about how he's so concerned about human rights? He wanted to scale back on the military because of abuses that are being carried out. Meanwhile, he upgraded Canada to being the second largest exporter of weapons to the Arab world, next to the United States. By the way, thanks for that one, Justin. It really pushed us up in the world scale, especially Saudi Arabia. Because when you think of human rights, you think of Saudi Arabia, right? They're the same people who threatened Ban Ki-moon to remove them from a human rights report, etc., etc. I thought this was just one of those stories that was also going underreported by the media, and that there seems to be, I think at least in this, a non-answer is certainly enough to raise suspicion as to whether or not this former Nazi leader is going to be staying in Canada from now on. And this doesn't surprise me in any way, shape, or form, because Canada has always been very underhanded in its complicity of crimes such as this, and supporting people just like this. That's a part of the whole flavor that we as Canadians have had. We're not doing world policing like the United States is. We're doing peacekeeping, which almost exclusively is the exact same thing. Now, the thing is that we get to have a really arrogant attitude about it and go, well, it's not us doing it, it's the United States doing it. We didn't bomb them in Afghanistan. We're just cleaning up the mess and helping carry out. It's the United States that's the bad guy. We're just along to try to make things better. Which, of course, is complete and utter bullshit. We are just as much imperialist-minded as the United States is. We just don't have the technical capability or the resources to actually carry it out. But again, this is another one of those stories that's being completely ignored by the mainstream media. That it seems very likely that the former Nazi leader is living in Canada right now as, funny enough, possibly a refugee. Thank you for watching. Won't you go ahead, rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media. And if you want, you can head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you can head over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.